and you can keep the insults flying, Dan, if you like.
I just want my pants back. At this point, it's on me. I should just drive over to where you live and get the
That's
pants.
true. So I don't even know if you know this, Alana. The lovely costume options that Dan brought.
You're still holding on to?
I still have them. One of them is a pig fart shirt, which is
Pig fart?
really, really unprofessional.
Yeah, I like that shirt.
I'm so sorry you've had to go a year without it, but this is the contractual thing you signed.
I know.
Give us your.
Like a tough year.
I know, but they're nice pants. They're one of my favorite pairs of jeans. And honestly, just like the other day, I was like looking at my pants. I was like, I don't have enough like blue jeans. And I was like, no, I do. I'm just one pair down. For a year, I've been one pair down.
It is really with the timing. I feel bad. I should have like Amazon Primed you a pair of jeans.
No, because it's on me now. Like are you vaccinated?
Oh yeah, I'm vaccinated.
Yeah, I'm vaccinated. Like, what am I? Like, I could just. It's the old days again, right? I could just drive over and get my pants, but I haven't done it because I'm a super dad. That's why. Too busy taking care of the kids.
So for those who are joining us, we to update you, Dan Strauss left a pair of pants and a pig fart shirt, and I think something else. He brought costume options for this film back when we shot this in January, and they're still in my closet, honestly taking up space in my closet. So yeah, at this point, I think you're right, Dan. This is all on you.
It's on me now. The blame.
It's an inconvenience to me now. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk. I have like, I could easily get these pants back. I'm just gonna have to like. I feel like there's like we have to like all recommit to like doing anything. Does that make sense? It's like we've done nothing for so long that even the idea of like driving to someone's house and picking up something that belongs to me seems like, is that a good idea?
Well,
is that something I should do?
For me to drive to anyone's house.
Great segue. Go ahead.
Great segue. Welcome, everybody. So as people start to trickle in, this is so lovely. I want to do a little just introduction before we begin, just so everyone knows kind of what their role was on the film. So you all know, because actually the Patreons who are watching know, this is no longer a screening because I tried and failed multiple times to stream it through my screen sharing. Suffice to say, there were lagging issues, and I would hate for the first time for somebody to see this to deal with lag problems, especially because I mean the setup and delivery of these jokes is so crucial to really the enjoyment of the experience. So I would hate, to ruin the comedy in having to deal with tech issues. So it's just a nice Q&A hang. Presumably everyone who's here has already seen the movie. If not, no worries, but also spoiler alert. Okay. So let's first go around and do just an introduction and say who you are, what you did on the film, and your favorite make and model of car. I'll begin. My name is Jamie Lynn. I am Jenny in the film. This film is inspired by real life events that happened to me on a pretty regular basis. I still don't know how to drive. My favorite car is, I guess if I had to choose, I like the look of those little bugs from the early 2000s that were colorful and came with a little flower vase that you put in the front seat. I think it's like a VW Bug 2000 edition. Great car.
Cool. I'll go next. My name's Nick Gage. I did the music for this. And I think my favorite make and model of car is a 1982 Volkswagen Vanagon. It's a camper van. It's got a pop-top roof. I used to own one, and I sold it back in 2017 for cryptocurrency. But that's a whole nother topic that I don't want to get into right now. Maybe Dan does, but I don't.
I think we have time.
Okay. I'm always down to talk cryptocurrency.
What's your thoughts on Ethereum, Dan?
Oh man, if I was going to go into it now, you're right. Actually, we don't have time because I think I love to get the coins. I love to sell the coins.
Mm-hmm.
And I love to tell anybody who doesn't like to do that they're missing out on the single greatest opportunity of their entire lives.
Life-changing
Mhm.
profits, man.
Yeah, this is going to be flash forward to 20 years from now, and everyone's going to be like having coins.
Totally.
Nick, did you buy Dogecoin or Bitcoin?
What's that?
Did you get Dogecoin or Bitcoin?
Biddy, baby.
Oh.
Is it Dogecoin
Genuine
or
bid.
Dogecoin? Because I
What's
might
that?
have been saying it wrong. in
What's
public.
that?
Is it Dogecoin or Dogecoin?
Doge.
Doge. Okay, cool. I've
Yeah.
been embarrassing myself.
Get with the times, Alana.
What
Doge.
about Doggy coin?
Dogecoin.
No?
Oh, I can do the thing. I'm Alana. I'm the writer director. There's no I have no idea when I'm supposed to speak. Yeah, I'm the writer director of Designated Writer, and my favorite car make and model is from Gone in 60 Seconds, which is one of my favorite movies. I'm very passionate about it. The Shelby GT500 Eleanor that Nick Cage tries to steal successfully in the end. Best car.
Spoiler.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry if you haven't seen it. You're 21 years late, but it's the best movie.
And who's that handsome guy with you?
Oh, that's her husband. I'm Dan. I was the ever important role of animal wrangler, and we definitely had a large animal. My favorite make and model is like an easy one. A 2001 Toyota Corolla LE for sure. Like that's a classic. I think anybody's collection is incomplete without one of those.
Wow, I can't even picture that in my head.
We drive an 03.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
A little derivative, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, fair enough.
Insightful.
Well, I'll go next. I'm Daniel, and I played. Was it Barry in the film? Is it Jimmy? Jimmy was the character, I think. Dave.
This is unprofessional.
Dave. It's Dave, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This was like 4 years ago. I played Dave in the film. I'm kind of like a dad character, and in the film, I've decided to play one too. And my favorite make and model of a car was while I was touring, when I used to tour for the Second City, we used to get different cars everywhere we went, different rental cars, and you got to really experience a wide breadth of automobiles. And the one that I didn't think I would enjoy that I loved was the Ford Flex, which I just found out they don't make anymore. But it's like a box. The car is literally like shaped like a box. And so it looks kind of awkward, but when you're in it, you got like crazy headroom. Like you feel like you're like, I could like live in this car. It was very spacious, a lot of nice outlets. You can charge your phone in the car. So, which I guess is now comes pretty standard, but the headroom was really the selling point for me. I'm sad to see they don't make it anymore. It's a nice automobile.
Wow, that was very thorough. And you drive Dan's other Dan. You like drive the car, the Toyota car now? Toyota
The one that
Corolla?
he mentioned. Well, we
Yes.
one of my cars is a 2003 Toyota Corolla, and
Wow.
I think it's an LE. Yeah.
I mean, that's the
One
only way to go. You don't want to go the unlimited edition.
No, that'd be insane. It's the blue one. See a lot of them, especially on the roads here in Hollywood. You see a lot of those. People love that car. It's like that Tesla, that Tesla, that Tesla, that Tesla that blew up for no reason.
An unlimited
Yeah.
car sounds I can't a lot of the cars I see feel very limiting, so that must be very cool. I'm proud of you.
Oh, great. Thank you. I wasn't sure if you were talking to me. I zoned out. I started thinking about something else.
Great. I'll go next. I think you did really well. My name's Claire Linick. I think my official capacity was PA. Am I doing it right?
Assistant PA.
Assistant PA,
All around.
mostly to Alana. I had a great time. I did a lot of the food runs. I told Alana what time it was, and I put the dirt on Jamie Lynn. So, and I think unofficial, never said, but I kind of felt like I was the understudy to Daniel Strauss. So who knows?
I felt
my
that way
favorite-
too.
You felt it? Good. My favorite car My first car was a Chevy Impala 2001. So that's the only one I can name. So that's the one I'm going with.
Sorry, I missed that. I was spacing out. What was that car?
That's okay. It's a Chevy Impala.
Don't even know what that
2001.
means.
That was the first. I don't know any cars. So I had to go with the one I could name, which was my first car in Nebraska.
Chevy Impala. Okay. Does it have 4-wheel drive?
Okay. Okay. There's a follow-up question. I'm sure it did. Almost had to.
No.
That
Yeah.
feels
It
very
had 4
safe.
wheels.
That's in Nebraska.
And yeah,
It's like-
It was in
Nebraska.
Nebraska.
Yeah.
And yeah, those country roads. Am I right, guys?
Wouldn't know.
Stupid.
Wouldn't know. Okay, let's see who's next. Sorry, I'm chatting. I'm coordinating with the chat as we go, so I'm trying to double focus, which I'm learning I'm very bad at.
It definitely shows.
I'm glad you got some practice off-roading, Claire. That feels hard for me. But I'm very impressed nonetheless. All right,
Thank
last
you.
but not least, we've got my husband, who I will say, Andrew was relegated to the bedroom because I was like, I need my space, go be another Zoom screen. So him and Nori are prisoners in the bedroom for this. Wow, you've got all your roles listed. Go ahead. Why
I
don't
think
you
I have
introduce-
more roles. I think I had the most roles out of everybody. I was a PA. I was also the Uber driver, second AD, and also transpo, bringing you to set every day, Jamie.
This
I'd like
is
to
true.
think that maybe, I don't know. What else did I do? App.
You were the cookie wrangler, if I remember correctly, which
That's right.
was an issue.
When I ate the prop.
We'll get to that.
Yes.
We'll get to
When I
that.
ate the prop. That was a mistake. I apologize for the stress that caused everybody on set. Favorite car has to be the PT Cruiser, and particularly the PT Cruisers that are still on the road today. Big time respect. Yeah.
I do know what that one looks like, so that's great.
And I had a 2001 Corolla, but it was the S version. I'm not sure why they would
That's
designate a sport in the Corolla, but it was. So
That's where you take the step up from the 1.8 liter engine to the 2.0.
oh, I think the engine's the same. It's just
Oh.
the stitching on the steering wheel that they really upsell you on. Yeah.
There's
Pretty
hand stitched steering wheels. That sounds like a really fancy upgrade. I like that.
Well, this was a lot of fun. Thank you again so much for putting this together.
I don't know. I thought this would be a fun icebreaker. Clearly, this is a dud. We've already lost 174 people who just tuned out during Car Talk. I'm kidding. I think they're riveted. But let's talk shop, shall we? And I don't mean car shop. I mean film shop, because at the end of the day, we are all brilliant filmmakers and performers and musicians and PAs and dog and cookie wranglers. So Alana, I'm going to pass this off to you because can you tell us about, please, the inspiration behind Designated Rider, and just give us a little intro into how this dream became a reality?
Of course. Well, it mainly started because I wanted to work with you, and we went to see Booksmart, and we left that movie and we were like, movies seem awesome and easy. We should make one. And then we started talking about what we would do. And, you know, as we've mentioned multiple times, Jamie Lynn cannot drive, which is one of, I think, her best qualities, because I hate driving. And learning to drive in LA really does feel sometimes like it's like a personal attack on you as a driver. Like, I've gotten in 2 fairly major accidents. I've only lived here 3 years. And so I definitely related to the idea of doing something anti-car, or at least like anti-traditional car stuff. So yeah, we started talking about what that might look like. We wrote so many different variations of what the script looked like. We added characters in and took them out for scheduling reasons. And then we finally got to a point where we were able to shoot it in January of 2020. Like, the first weekend was the last good thing that happened in 2020 for me. And then we spent all of 2020 editing it and starting to submit to festivals. And then yesterday we did our last festival, and now this is sort of our unveiling to the world, and it's pretty cool. Did
It
I
has
miss
indeed. Oh, sorry. What were you going to say, Alana?
anything? I kind of went just like
I was
chronological.
going to say, you really covered it all. So I think we're good. We can close out the stream. We've got the whole timeline. No, you mentioned something. So for context, Alana and I met in Chicago when I was living there, doing all of the shows with Nick, like Batman and Starship and whatever else we did. The Up Comedy Club show that we did with Dan. It's Airport for Birds, Chicago time, the Chicago season. Season of my life. But Alana was somebody I knew through improv at IO we met.
Yes,
And also,
together.
yes, and Dan and I also did improv together on our team that for the longest time we couldn't think of the name for. So this is like very much like a friendship that was built in Chicago, and we realized we wanted to collaborate on something. I will say we did see that movie Booksmart, and I feel bad saying that we thought filmmaking would be easy because it's so not. It's very difficult.
Yeah, that was what I took away from it. Is the easier and better the film is, the harder it probably was to get there, because this was such a delight to make, and it was still really hard.
That's true. It's a nice reminder. I know most of us perhaps like come from a theater background, at least I do, and translating what I knew about making theater into making film was different. Obviously it helps inform it, but Alana, you said a great thing the other day in one of the interviews that we were doing in another film festival that we were showing this, which was that this is the second film that you've made, but as a filmmaker, you compared it to planning a party, which I thought was a very fun analogy and makes a lot of sense. Having never done a film before, it's a great way to be like, just, you know how to plan a party, so do that, but with coordinating film production.
Yeah,
It's a great analogy.
so much of filmmaking, I feel like, is gate kept in a way because it seems so expensive and hard, and like if you don't go to film school, you feel like maybe you're not qualified to do it. But that was what I was trying to say in the festival yesterday, was just like, if you think of it less in terms of like creating art and more in terms of just creating an experience that you want your friends to have, all of a sudden all the decisions that are kind of like the basis for making a film all of a sudden seem really fun and easy instead of like overwhelming and paralyzing.
Indeed. I will add to that, I also felt on set the need to make sure everybody was happy all the time. And I felt like everyone's happiness and career success was riding on us. And so that's a similar feeling that I get when I'm throwing a party. And I think I'll never escape that in everything I do. So is everybody having fun right now? I just want to make sure, is everybody okay? Can I get you anything? It never ends, truly, on and off set. So that's fantastic. I will say, since you mentioned a lot of things, so yeah, we came up with this story because it was based on true events of not being able to drive. And I will say pretty much everybody here in these Zoom boxes has at one point or another been my chauffeur and has transported me around town when I've kind of been very shy about asking for a ride. And I think that really hits on a topic that the film covers, which is that sometimes you go through extreme lengths in order to hide something that really is not that big of an ask, but your like social anxiety takes over and it makes it hard to just ask for the thing, and you end up going through all these unnecessary hurdles in order to avoid being a nuisance. And so that's kind of another theme that we discussed when we were conceiving kind of the mind of Jenny and the whole story arc. Okay, so let's take some questions. If people have them, feel free to post your questions in the chat. The name of the cactus doesn't have a name. He wasn't in the film either. This is kind of a segue, but yeah, he wears a hat. One day I'll make a film about the cactus with a hat.
Can I just say something else that you have to really, I think, take into consideration when you write a movie or a film or a short or whatever, is like, what am I going to be doing in this short, you know? Am I going to be like spending it, most of it covered in dirt, getting chased by a dog under a porch and stuff, while the other actors get to sit on the porch and like smoke a blunt? Like, is that really what I want to do in a movie? Like, I wouldn't want to do that. So, I think maybe you could speak to this more, Jamie. Like, maybe like one thing you learned from this is like, oh, like maybe next time I write, it'll be like I get to like eat candy or lie down in a hammock for a little while or something. Because I think you spent a lot of it like climbing under the porch, and you were like, I remember you were like really cranky about it, and it was like, this is your fault. You got mad at like everybody. I remember you knocked over a table at one point, but that's what
true.
you learn, is like write what you know and know what you like. That's what they say. So
That's true. I was very difficult on set, and thank you, Dan, for being so supportive. I remember on set you were really concerned about my well-being, which I appreciated because I felt like nobody at the end of the day was looking out for me, especially not myself. Yes, spoiler alert, I spent a majority of the film underneath Dan and Alana's ex-porch. There was a falling out. They are no longer living with that porch.
Do you guys not live there anymore?
No, we moved like at the beginning of the pandemic, the absolute
Wow.
time to move. Really planned that out well.
That place
Oh.
is. Do you like your new place? Sorry, this isn't.
Yeah,
do?
No,
Okay.
go ahead.
That place was really cool.
it was cool. But there were a lot of weird things about it, and they were not, like they were just the tap didn't have two like, God, two tap like didn't have two like what do you call it, faucets? So
Yeah.
Faucet.
yeah, so you
It
would
did have two
it had two faucets, but only had one like spout. So you would turn on the cold water, and it would only have one option. Is this making sense? Am I
Yes.
Well,
It's like
Oh,
a farm
yeah.
sink.
yes,
Uh-huh.
stuff like that. It's
Yeah,
all
with the.
like weird.
Oh yeah, that's annoying.
But the best part of it was it did have this amazing porch that Jamie Lynn got to spend 2 nights under. And my favorite part of shooting this was watching Daniel just absolutely roast her while she's covered in dirt. She's been down there. She's been amazing about it. Like the absolute most trooper. Claire's like covering her in more crap.
Surviving the porch was the easy part. Surviving Dan's remarks is always the hard.
Well, look, I write too, but I write. I'm working on a script right now called like Eating Up a Steak, and it's the.
All right, Dan, we're not here to
I'll
promote
just pitch
your
it real
work.
quick. It's just me. I go to a restaurant. What would you like, sir? I'll have a steak, and then I'm eating up the steak, and then they bring me a glass of wine, and
Mhm.
it doesn't have much of a narrative, but it sounds like it's gonna be a blast to shoot. So
Yeah, you'll have to raise a bunch of money on Kickstarter for that steak. I hear they're pretty expensive. So
yeah, I want to get a good one. I
Start.
will for sure.
start saving
I'm
now.
gonna
All right,
use the
let's-
Tin Can Brothers Patreon. Go ahead, I'm leaving.
all right, let's take some questions. These are really great, guys. And all right, let's see. What was your favorite part of filming? Well, I think we covered that. What was the hardest part of filming? If anyone's to tackle that from any aspect, please. And Nick, this applies to you. So I will say, Nick Gage, so patiently waiting in his little square. Nick came to us in post-production. So his entire involvement with the film, he wrote all of the brilliant underscoring throughout of all the little beeps and boops and percussive, suspenseful music that happens, and also our lovely, fantastic tug on your heartstrings ending song, which I really do think you did such a fantastic job with. So Nick was not there for the filming process, but going into it, we knew that Nick was going to do the music for it just because you're perfect.
I was there. Yeah. I was available.
So yeah, I guess I want to field that question to you, Nick. What was the hardest, and what was your favorite part of doing the music, and what was the hardest part of doing the music?
I can answer both those with one answer, and that was just working directly with you. It's I don't know, like there was a lot of like really esoteric direction, as you said, like beeps and boops. So I'd be like, yeah, it's good, I like it, but we need more zoinks and doinks, things like that. They're just like, okay, well, we have to come up with a lexicon now of like what is a zoink and what is a doink, and yeah, and then you got to mix it and all that. Jamie and I have sort of an interesting dynamic where it's tends to be based on just like hurling insults and criticism at each other. You know, it could be anything. It could be just the quality of your cuticles, teeth stainage, the quality of your thoughts at any given moment. So it was like a lot of razzing, but I don't know, that works for me. So it was actually pretty quick. I felt like we did it. I feel like we turned it all around in a week, maybe more. I don't know. What's your recollection of it, Jamie? It was.
I do remember giving you a lot of notes. So Alana really, as she directed and wrote and did such a brilliant job with this. And I at one point when we were figuring out the music, Alana was like, "You can figure it out with Nick." And I was like, "Oh gosh, this." I felt like the weight of the world. This is like a very heavy task because I wanted to make sure we were translating our vision to you. And I had many a conversation with you on the phone, really micromanaging the music, considering I don't play music.
But I do appreciate that when people are micromanaging. If they just kind of say like, "Yeah, I just kind of want it to feel floaty," or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But we really got deep down into it.
You did such a good job. I really thought you did a great job.
I think the reason it did go so fast is because what you turned in was so perfect. Like I just wanted something like really percussive to sort of like underscore the tension of like all of those like, you know, running parts. But then the ending, we really went into this wanting to create something that would make people feel good ultimately, just like, you know, because there's so much crap where it feels like it's fantastic and it makes you think, but then you leave and you're like, I'm stressed out. And like just the music did such a great job of like dissolving all of that. So like even though, you know, it's short and you don't get to fully see what happens next, I felt very completed by the music.
And it was so fun to score because it was shot so beautifully, and then that was just juxtaposed with just the absurdity of Jamie on a trike. And I feel like our brains just kind of aligned on that, and to the point where like I think if I was working with anybody else, that lyric that I put in there, which is basically the song or the tricycle singing to Jamie, I didn't know if that'd be lost on anybody. I thought it was a little absurd, and I didn't want to explain it because I thought if I did explain that, it would be shot down because it's preposterous. But Jamie got it right away, and she was like, "Yeah, it was cool."
It was such a beautiful touch. Again, spoiler if you haven't seen it, but Jenny ends up riding herself home on a little tricycle that she steals, which is, you know, questionable to her character, but that's a different topic at hand. But it was really this lovely thing where like after Alana and I kept saying to each other, we wanted to make something that was funny, but at the end of the day had some heart to it and kind of had I don't know, we kept gravitating towards like, it'll be funny, but it doesn't have to be like laugh out loud funny. Like we want it to have like a little bit of like a poignant ending to it. And so the idea that she had been through the ringer with this lie that she crafted to try to, because she felt so ashamed of being dependent on people for a ride, I thought it was important for us to make sure that she took ownership over her transportation and getting herself out of the situation at the end. And so it was just so beautiful that the trike moment was really a symbol for her independence. And I thought the fact that the lyric, if you pay close attention to the song that Nick wrote, it's "Wait for the dawn, I will be there for you." And so it was just a sweet moment of like, if you can just get through this harrowing night under a porch, sleeping against the side of the house, this thing will be ready for you to ride in the morning and get you out of there. And it was just perfect, Nick. Like you nailed it. You nailed it.
Yeah.
So thank you for nailing it.
In real talk, I have those files on my computer, and sometimes if I am sad, I will just like play that song. It's an excellent, just like,
I mean, I'd forgotten about it because that was just like it was over a year ago now, and that was like feels like 5-10 years ago. But yeah, even just that you sang the lyric right now, I'd kind of forgotten what it was, but like it still kind of resonates with me, and I feel like I might go listen to it after this. I get a little misty thinking about it.
You did a great job. You should release it as its own.
Yeah.
It was inspired by the song "Chicago" from Little Miss Sunshine. If you know that song, but obviously it's
the Sufjan Stevens song.
Yeah. Okay, let's, anybody else have any fun or harrowing parts of filming? Claire, Andrew, do you want to contribute?
Oh, wait, I
Dan?
want Claire to talk about the food situation because that was the most stressful part of the whole shoot for me, and Claire dealt with it. So I want to hear her perspective on that.
I was hoping that wouldn't come up because that was something I was like, I was so embarrassed. I did a huge order from this place and like went around and got everybody's food order and was like, here's the menu. I need this by now. And I was very bossy about it. And then I drove there to get the food and the place had completely shuttered. So
My God,
I just,
But this is like this place had been open the day before. Like it just was like a weird timing thing, and you could not have known. I did not know.
it was one of those like paper and Sharpie things like, we're closed. Thank you for your business. So I think I'm trying to remember if this is exactly how it happened. I just went to the taco place near you guys and just bought exactly what people had had the night before. Once again. So it was the second night of taco, their exact order again, but that was a tough one. The tricycle, I think, was on set the hardest thing, the filming the tricycle thing, just because there was so many cars.
Yeah, and we were shooting during rush hour, and we did not do any of the permit stuff you're supposed to do, which I can say now because the film is done and no one can do anything to it. But and we don't even live it there anymore. But yeah, we were shooting in the middle of this residential street, and we were doing it as people were coming home from work. So there was a lot of like resetting, and everyone was really patient and good about that. But that was, yeah, the most difficult part to control just in terms of the production.
If I recall, the neighbor across the street was not that patient about that.
Yeah, until he realized that we lived there. I think he thought we were like guerrilla filmmaking from somewhere else and had like come into the neighborhood. But thankfully we all looked young enough that I tried to pass it off as like a college product. And I think he maybe thought.
That's funny that like
Young enough. Thank you so much.
someone living in LA would be like, what is going on here? They're trying to shoot something. Come on. It's like, come on, dude. Like go live in,
I mean,
San Francisco or something.
yeah, live in Iowa if you don't want.
Yeah, I mean,
Literally any other place.
yeah, like that's gonna happen here, especially like where you live. It's going to like, come on, get over it.
It's the land of films and Hollywood, baby.
That's what they call it, the land of films in Hollywood.
And films. Well, I will say, Alana, because you've brought this up too, and this is something we talked about, like the whole inspiration for so much of this film, notwithstanding the fact that it was based on my experience, but your dog was in it, is like we really tried to use the resources that we had for free that were at our disposal, because so much of it was like, what is a story that we can tell using people that we love, a small crew, a location that won't cost any money. And so I think that was a really fun challenge just in the development, and also when we were in the process of just being like, how can we use what we have and tell the story without.
Yes, 100%. I don't know if you saw this, but every time you say dog, Teddy keeps like poking his nose.
Teddy needs to make an appearance. He's arguably the star of this.
All right,
He's definitely getting more than his fair share of attention, but
There he is. There's our star. And look, the dog wrangler is showing. Dan, you really did a fantastic job.
And you know what, this actually segues well into what you just asked, but like writing this, I felt like our goal was to write something that we really loved and would make people happy, and to write it using the resources we had. And the dog was something that like came to me pretty early because he's giant and kind of specific to me and to you, in that you were willing to work with him and you were so patient with like putting your body out there, even, and you know, being trusting of Dan and of Teddy, being, you know, kind to your body. But writing that stuff, we were trying to figure out what we could feasibly shoot using the time that we had, and that included like figuring out what we could do with the dog and like making sure that we weren't trying to do anything too ambitious that would require too many takes and would, you know, derail the whole shooting schedule. So working with you to figure out like what we had, who we had, like what our strengths were, what made like our sort of network special. It was like probably one of the most fun parts of like the problem solving part of the whole filmmaking experience.
I agree. If any, oh, sorry, go ahead.
One of those chase takes, he almost took you down.
Yeah,
So Ted is a
through,
very lovable dog. How many pounds does Ted weigh?
he's lost a little weight in quarantine, but he was at the time, I think, almost close to 120.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a big dog. He's a big dog and very friendly and such a lovable teddy bear. But Dan, you did such a good job of really riling him up and making him shine. I was terrified of him in that moment when he was running after me. So he really did a great job. You both did a fantastic job because it felt very real to me.
Dan was, I mean, both Dan and Andrew were just so huge in like keeping the production going and like really being so patient with like us and giving up their entire weekends, and like it was very much appreciated.
See, I disagree. I don't think Andrew was very patient at all on set, and we'll get to that. So, of course, we're talking about my husband, PA. Now he's changed his name to the dog's name. He was really credited. He did a lot on the set, but also had a lot of shortcomings.
Wait, hold on. Are you talking about the cookie?
I am.
Okay, so you don't want to throw this out there. We had a craft services table that was wonderfully decked out with all sorts of snacks and drinks and food, and there were cookies on that table. And it seemed to me that throughout the night, I don't know what happened, but I found a cookie somewhere else. I don't know where I found it, but I think I assumed it was like the craft services table part 2. I unwrapped it. I took a bite, perhaps of the snowman, because it was in January, and I was caught eating what apparently was a prop for the next scene that we were about to shoot.
The cookie was meant to entice Ted, whose name in the movie, Ted is the dog. His name in the movie is Tubbs. It's a very important distinction. The dog was given a different name, and Andrew ate the prop cookie that was meant to be given to the dog on film, and it almost ruined our marriage.
Yeah, we still haven't recovered from this incident. I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is that props need to be clearly labeled and segregated from non-props on set.
Wow.
As to not arouse any suspicion or confusion, after
Just really throwing
hours
it back
of
on
shooting.
the production.
That we never
I just think that I have no responsibility in this at all.
Unbelievable.
You guys are stressing me out. Can you get in the same room like Dan and Alana? It's just like, should I be worried?
I mean, the cookie really took the whole thing down. So it's thank God we had Claire, who was able to fix the whole meal fiasco, because there's nothing worse than hangry actors and crew on set. So I'm glad you were able to be our hero for the day.
Interestingly, there were multiple cookies, thank God, so that it could be replaced before the shot. And at the end of the production, I was gifted another one of them, the snowman cookies, in the plastic wrap, and I put it in my jacket pocket, only to find it in June when we went camping, and I needed to take the jacket with me because it was going to be cold in the desert.
Did you eat it? Or was
I did not eat it. I did not eat it. But it looked fine. It looked perfectly fine.
I bet it tasted exactly as good as it did the first night.
Right.
And I think the whole experience really lent itself in Jamie Lynn's performance. I think you really see that emotional reaction to Andrew's betrayal in her performance.
The deck really helped for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, let's take another question here. What was the top snack of the cast and crew? I think we know at this point it's that cookie for Andrew. We can, here we go. Let's see. This is a great question for everyone that I want to open it up to. Do you all, anyone, have any ideas for future films? And are you waiting? What is this? Do you have any ideas for future short films, or are you waiting till being around people is allowed to start in order to start new projects? So the question that every creative loves to hear, what are you working on next, everyone?
I was like,
Dan, you go first.
oh, sorry. I'm sorry I had to leave for a second, but
Thank you.
I had to get the Nintendo Switch set up for the children. There were some issues down there. The baby had taken one of the controllers and messed up the connection, and my wife, God bless her, is an adult, so she was having trouble getting the Nintendo to work. So so the child parent went down and fixed it, which is me. But anyway, I was like right after we maybe like a week, because we shot this in January, right?
January
Okay.
2020, the beginning of
Okay,
the year.
yeah.
Yes.
So this is going to be a weird thing to say, but it's part of setting up the story. My grandmother passed away like maybe like a week after we shot this thing, and I flew to New York because you could still do that for her funeral. And on the plane back, I wrote this short script, and I was like, because like I was feeling like very creative, and I was like, we just made this thing, and it was so cool. And we did it with like such a small crew, and I was gonna send it to you, Alana. I was like, I'm gonna get this in like good shape, then maybe like Alana will work on it, like because she did a really good job. And then everything stopped, and I haven't looked at it in like over a year now, since January. But it's just funny. That question is just funny because it's like, well, did this go to like anything else? Like, yeah, I was like ready. I was like, this is great. This could be a really like fun outlet. And then everything stopped. Although everything is coming back. It seems
Yeah,
like,
send it to me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to reread it because I think it might be like illegible. Like it's like
Did you write it on the napkin, on like the airplane napkin?
No, I had my computer with me, but I watched I think I watched 2001: A Space Odyssey on the way out, and so that like heavily weighed on the film. Like I was like trying to kind of like rip off some of that stuff. But so I don't know if it's like I'll bring it back out and take a look again and see if it's at all worth putting some time into. It wasn't all that funny. But I was flying home from a funeral. So
Also,
anyway.
I feel like we talk about your grandmother in the short too. Like you mentioned.
Do we?
Yeah, you mentioned your grandmother not being able to drive anymore. She's 95.
Oh yeah. That's actually that
Was that a different
inspiration for that came from my wife. My wife's grandmother, who gave us her 2003 Toyota Corolla when she passed. But yeah, she had stopped driving. So I was imagining her driving down the streets of Skokie, Illinois on that
That's
line.
right.
Anyway, there you go.
That's right.
And other than that, I've been working on absolutely nothing. I just gave up. Haven't written anything. No, I'm kidding. I mean, I think like everybody, I'm sure everybody's been doing something to get them through this thing. I've spoken a lot now, but I was gone for a little while, so it's okay. My creativity during this whole thing has like really come in waves. I feel like I've had moments where I'm like, oh, I want to do something, and then like I work really hard on it, and then I'll just hit a wall, and for like maybe like 2-3 weeks, I'm like, and then it, usually swings back up again. But it's been very up and down, and now hopefully as things are opening back up, I'm excited to maybe start doing this again. So
Yeah, it's
You're
kind
very
of
talented.
the last thing we did before the pandemic was so much fun and came out so well because it really did give me this like yearning to do it again. But it, like Daniel said, you can't really do it during the pandemic. So Jamie Lynn and I have a date on Tuesday to talk about some future stuff, and until we do that, I have zero like ideas of what we're going to do next. But this has been such a great experience, and I'm just like really happy to ride it out for a second, figure out what the next thing is after.
We'll get there. I will say, just to toot Dan's horn for a second, it's never been done before, but I will say, Alana, you did such a fantastic job writing the dialogue, and it was so natural. Like what you wrote was so fantastic, but also I want to give you credit as a director that like you let us as actors also play within the world, kind of like on the bookends of a lot of the scenes. And that opening kitchen scene, which was like where we really established really the whole setup for the whole movie of like getting this idea that she can't drive and she's embarrassed. You let us really play and improvise around it, which was wonderful to be on a set where there was like that much play with the actors. And obviously Dan, you're just so much fun to improvise with. It was, and Kat was wonderful also. Kat can't be here because she's a superstar mom who's a mother of twins and a circus performer and a real life superhero. That's a whole other story. But the two of you just or the three of us, I should say, like, it was just a fun environment, and it felt, we have so many takes of alternative scenes with little like of the banter between the three of us, and also on the way to the car. It came so easily, and we were like, we just want to work with these people all the time because it's just fun.
And I want to say too, I'm going to toot Alana's horn a little bit, that it was really nice to work on something where there was a structure, but there was, like Jamie was saying, a looseness within the dialogue. I mean, you basically were like, yeah, you can take this dialogue and make it your own. But I never felt like, like what I was doing was appreciated. And like B, I never felt like, yeah, they're just doing these takes to humor me, and then they're going to ask me to just do the script, which I've had happen before, where I've like been on set and I've done like a bunch of, they'd be like, yeah, go ahead, improvise. Yeah, let's see what you got. And like, I'll improvise a bunch. And I was like, cool. We're going to do it again. Stay completely by the book and don't deviate at all. Cause we worked hard on this and we just want you, which is like, fine. Like that's what people want. But like, it was really nice to be in this situation where it was like, it wasn't like, yeah, it's a free for all. I don't care. Just say whatever you want. It was still working within structure and like trying to get from A to B, but having enough freedom to play within those beats that made shooting it, interesting and fun. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, I would have to be, I don't honestly understand the other way of doing it. Like, I don't understand having some like the best comedic actors that can improvise so well, and then being so precious about your writing that you're like, but I'm not going to use any of that. So I would love to take credit for that, but really I would feel very stupid doing otherwise.
Well, and I think you have an interesting background, Alana, in writing and performing. So maybe part of it comes from that you, and not a lot of people can like play both sides of that talent, and you have that. So I think that's a cool way to come from it.
Thanks, guys.
It's true. She's a brilliant writer. You should check out more of Alana's stuff too, because you write for McSweeney's and you write for various internet. Tell us where we can find more of your writing too, because
so the show I work on during the day is called Daily Pop. Please watch it so we don't get canceled. And then at night I try to do stuff like this. I love working with my friends and making these kinds of shorts, and then I do write stuff for like Reductress and McSweeney's and anybody that pays $30 for an article. So yeah, you can find my work online.
The place to find everyone's work these days, truly, on the internet. I have a very important question here from Chicago Jetanisha. Dan, what were you smoking? I guess, well, hold on. This is a two-layered.
First of all,
this is a two-layered question, because Dan in the movie, we wanted to know what you were smoking, but this applies to both Dans.
Yeah, Dan dubbed Dan smoking.
In the film, your character Dave, Daniel Strauss, and your wife you are smoking. The party has just ended, and you are smoking a joint.
It's a joint. Yeah, it's marijuana, which is legal here.
This is
so
true.
It's a fine way to spend the evening.
And the smoking was provided by this Dan, who was
That's right.
generous with his lungs and did a lot of takes.
I do not partake, and I was fortunate enough to have Dan there, who said, "Don't worry, I'll hit the blunt for you. I'll roach the spliff for you. I can suck down that sweet Chiba and hand it back to you."
He was your double.
He was. Oh, well done. Oh, tip of the cap to you. A can of Coke heading your way. He was your blunt double. Very nice. Yeah, he was. That's exactly right. He would get the thing going and then hand it to me.
That's too good.
That's so good. We should have credited that.
God, yeah.
I'm embarrassed.
Terrific.
But I've known Dan Strauss for a very long time. I did not know that he never ever partakes. And the idea of even having like the lit joint in his mouth, what like I could see was like visibly stressing him out. I'm like, Dan, I got your back, dude.
I appreciate it. Well, I didn't know. Look, as somebody who doesn't do that, I was like, I gotta like remember what to say, and like, I mean, I was kind of nervous that if I got, a good hit, it was gonna be, a loopy rest of the evening. And it was late at night anyway, too, right? As I recall, we shot pretty late in the evening, so it was a real relief to know when I got there that somebody would hit the J for me.
Yeah.
Would smoke the Mary Jane for me, would dang the dope for me.
He was like your designated drinker. He was.
Yeah,
he
no, I
had
think we
a good
said
time on your behalf, and
I
or
think we said
designated smoker.
blunt double. I think we said
That's the
blunt
one.
double was
That's
the one. I think we're
one.
just gonna go. Yeah, designated drinker. Again, it's
Yeah,
not. It's not. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any
You know?
sense. That's right.
So
That's right. I'm sorry.
everyone appreciates you, throwing your hat in the ring, but it just that just doesn't make any sense. I'm so sorry. We have to immediately, and it's on me. I have to immediately step in and just shut it down, because we just can't. If it starts to gather, you know what I mean? It's like we gotta.
That's right.
That's right.
My sincerest apologies. I will say let me just see where we're at with this. One thing that is important to note, which was a little bit of a mind fuck, is we shot this in reverse chronological order. I believe the word is backwards. And because we had, once again, spoiler alert, at the end of the film, Jenny rides off into the sunrise, which was actually the sunset. And so our day one of filming was actually the very end of the film. We shot that at sunset to make up for sunrise, and then went backwards.
Yes.
Against the clock.
Yeah, we couldn't shoot mornings because my job requires me to get up super early. So we had to try to, do all of it at night instead of trying to stagger it and do it at night into the morning. So we just kind of front loaded it instead.
We're learning.
Mm-hmm. It's a movie trick.
It was hard it was hard to think about that in the filming process, to keep remembering we're moving backwards, because in my mind
we had an amazing DP and a really fantastic camera operator, just a really fantastic crew that really helped Jamie Lynn and I fill in the gaps of our personal production knowledge. So that would be my biggest recommendation if you're making a movie, is just hire people that know so much more than you do, because a lot of the stuff I was learning on the fly and trying to act like I knew what I was talking about. And so thankfully we had really smart people to guide us through that.
I'm always there to ask the dumb questions too. I'll toot my own horn in saying that. I'm never afraid to ask the really dumb questions. And it helps to surround yourself with smart people so that those dumb questions can be answered. So that's always a good lesson in filmmaking and in life. Don't be afraid to ask the dumb questions. Will it be released on YouTube? Is the question from Musical Theater Trash. Yeah, what's the plan? So I guess to catch everyone up, we have submitted it to film festivals, and our big dream when we first put this out was we were like, we'll get to travel to different film festivals and go all over the country. And with how these film festivals work, it's kind of like you do a little tour in different cities showing your film, and you kind of get to chalk it up to a free vacation on your own dime and an excuse to travel. And of course, as we all know, the pandemic hit, and so all of the film festivals went online, and it's hard enough to get people to go online for a Zoom meeting, let alone a film watching. So it's sad that the big celebration of it all was kind of downgraded to online. That said, Alana, what is the future of the film?
It's definitely going to be online. We're still figuring out these specifics of when and where. Probably this week, though, we'll get it up there for real. And then, I think it's just going to potentially live online until we figure out what our next project is. And then hopefully we'll get to have that big, celebration with the next one. But this one, it still feels special because, we got to do it with friends and stuff like this. Makes it feel a little bit more like we're getting a chance to interact with the people we hoped would see it.
That's lovely.
It's even weird, I mean, I know for me personally, it is, I think everyone's kind of said this right, but it is one of my last really good memories before the pandemic. So even being on this chat right now with everybody from it and being now affected by it, in this group feels a little strange because it was like one of my last memories of like not being affected by it. But it's like the whole vibe is different too because we're on the back end of it now. Got knock wood. So it's like we're, you know, it's kind of a nice, hopefully a bookend to it.
I agree. I hope we can all get together in person too and do something with it. In our dream, Alana and I were like, this would be great as like a real series. I don't know where we would take it, but it was just, again, so much fun to work with everyone. And I thought everyone created a great environment.
Yeah, it was definitely the best time on set I've ever had. And the crew of people that we put together, both like on set and then afterwards, adding people like Nick and David, our editor, we just got front to back the best experience of like working with, you know, really, really amazing people. And thankfully you guys all did it so generously and for scale. So we really appreciate that.
We do.
And we solved the mystery of why Claire's mom was getting my tweets showing up on her timeline.
You know, and it was all worth it.
Wait, what was the final outcome? Was she only?
She was just following Dan for years. She was like, "Who is Daniel Strauss? He's the only person that shows up on my Twitter. I see all of his tweets." And I was like, "Well, you're following him." And she was adamant. She's like, "I am not. I'm absolutely not following him. I do not know him." And so I took her word for it. And he just like, I finally found out that yes, Dan was like, "Yeah, she's following me. She's still just like a Twitter egg, so she looks like a troll." But we were tweeting, Marianne from set.
We sent her like a picture of you and me on the set and wrote something like, you know, hello from your number one Twitter fan or something. And I think she wrote me back like maybe like 4 or 5 months later.
Except I was like, are you going to respond to Daniel's tweet or something? And she just wrote ... She will. It was so ominous and spooky.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like 5 months later.
So, you know, we did a really good project, worked with a lot of funny and talented people. And also my mom's Twitter journey really took off. So I think wins all around.
We should have thanked her in the credits, honestly.
She's not in the credits?
I'm sorry. We got it. Neither is Blunt Double. We have some edits to make.
Ooh, uh-oh.
Real quick, just so we wrap up, as we start to kind of wrap up here, this is one really big question that, we'll finish with it. But I guess this is like for Dan, but also feel free to chime in, just anyone with your thoughts on it and like your own creative process. But what was the process for developing and playing characters similar to yourself? Where do you draw the line between character and reality? So I guess that's a big question across the board. But I will say, like, Dan, just because you're here and you're the other scene partner that we had, like you do, I feel like there's like, I think with both of our characters, like there's like a heightened version of who I am in it, and there's a heightened version of who you are. And how does that work for you when you dive into the character from an actor's perspective?
I mean, for this particular character, I played him very, very close to myself, and which wasn't particularly difficult because I was playing a father of 2 children, you know. So it was like, even reading, I was like, oh, this is going to be really very close to me. Turn it up a little bit when the camera is on. But other than that, like most of the most of the improvisations, I should say, that I did were pulled very closely from reality. I think the movie starts with us talking about how we can't get it like a Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood song out of our head, which is like a very real experience. Like as a parent, you'll just wake up in the middle of the night and whatever tape your kid's been making you listen to on repeat, some song is just stuck in your head. So yeah, I mean, I would say in this, and it's also sort of a subdued, like it's like nighttime, it's like after a dinner party. So there was, I think, like it really, in this case, it really was very close to myself. I mean, the biggest like step outside of that was like, oh, and this guy smokes weed. And I don't, so I'm gonna have to get in the mindset of some dad who's, you know, okay,
stoner
J.
dad.
Yeah, stoner chill dad. But in this particular, I mean, every character you play, you have to start with yourself, right? Because otherwise it feels phony and feels like you're being somebody you're not. So, but in this particular case, and there have been times where I've started with myself and I've blown a little bigger, but in this case, I feel the character was actually really only a few steps away from me.
Yeah, I can relate to that too, even through the musical lens. Like, people might ask for me to write something like John Bryan or John Williams, but it's always going to end up coming out like a Polish techno version of that, because it's like I'm going to do what I do to that, you know. So it's like, as long as you're okay with that, like I can't help but do it. Like, it's never, you know, the game plan really. Like, I'm trying to do my best John Williams. It just has like a bad drum beat underneath it. So
I think in general with creative projects on all levels, like whenever you try to do something that doesn't really feel like it's coming from an organic place, or like it's going to be a bad performance or a bad song or whatever if you're not being authentic to your own voice, no matter what. So I think at the end of the day, like, you think as actors or as creatives, you go like, oh, I want to copy this performance, or I want to try to emulate this sound. At the end of the day, if you're not ultimately playing what's in your heart or doing what you feel is organic and right, people are going to smell it as being phony, and it's just not going to be good. So yeah, trust your gut and yourself and your creative voice.
T or G, you know?
T or G.
That's what we always say, yeah, in the acting profession, is get out there and T or G. and you can't go wrong.
Well, I'm T'ing my G right now as the host of this party, and I'm fearing that we're kind of running out of steam here. So, in true T my G fashion, I don't want anyone to overstay their welcome. This has been very lovely. Thank you, everyone who's joined us. We have a lot of people on here who are also non-drivers, so I'm glad that this was able to give you all an outlet for your non-driving experience. Also, there's a small group of us, but I will say to anyone in the chat, if you need a ride, any of these 5 people here, 6 people here are welcome to give you a ride. I'll text you, I'll send their phone numbers out. And really at any hour of the day, if you need a ride, just feel free to hit up Nick, Dan, Alana, Claire, and any of them. And I'm sure they'll drive you wherever you need to go.
Totally.
Thank you, everyone. This was really lovely. Check out the film if you haven't. I sent the link out, and it'll eventually be, it'll soon be available to the world as well. Non-drivers of the world unite. All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna stop the stream now. Bye. Now we're gonna talk about all of our scandalous cast hookups that happen.